All right, welcome everybody to the Lakers Legacy Podcast. Where? What's the 411? Well, number 4, he's the one. And number 41, well, I'm guessing you know his name by now because he is officially a Laker. So connect 4, connect 41. The Lakers are marching towards the start of the 2024-25 NBA regular season with as good of vibes as you could reasonably expect for a team that didn't make any significant moves this offseason. I'm your host, Jonathan Hernandez, and if you are watching this on YouTube, you would probably know by now that I am not joined by anyone. I'm going to do this pod solo. No Tommy Alexander today, but he will join me on Wednesday when we recap the Lakers' home opener versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. But for now, you guys are stuck with me alone solo. But yeah, holy crap, we are finally here. The start of the 2024-25 NBA season. The Lakers march to number 18 to try and catch the Boston Celtics. So yeah, in today's episode, it is going to be a quick one. I just wanted to tie up some loose ends and new developments from this past weekend and the last couple of days from the Lakers' end and give my stray middling thoughts heading into this upcoming year and send us off right before the Lakers begin their new campaign starting tomorrow. So, of course, we have to begin this episode here with Mr. Who is number 41, Quincy Olivari. For those of you who paid attention to my very early campaigning of Quincy Olivari's game, even when he was just on the fringes of this Lakers roster on an Exhibit 10 deal, while LA's two-way spots were all occupied and everyone was going goo goo gaga for Blake Hinson. During that time, I was talking about Quincy Olivari. And shout out to those who didn't turn their nose at my early content featuring Quincy, whether it was my deep dive breakdown video of his game or my actual interview with him back in August, which you can also catch on our episode Q, our podcast episode Q, or on YouTube at Lakers Legacy Pod. But yeah, kudos to those who stuck with it. Kudos to those who didn't turn a blind eye to all of my Quincy Olivari propaganda, because I'm sure a lot of people were probably like, who cares? He's not going to matter. When has an Exhibit 10 guy ever mattered? But just like the Alex Carusos and Austin Reeves before him, certain guys will make sure they matter and prove that despite the obstacles and stacked circumstances against their favor, with enough determination, skill, and hard work, the cream always rises to the top eventually. And that is the case with Quincy Olivari, who on Sunday signed a two-way contract with the Lakers, who waived Colin Castleton in return. And yeah, for those of you who paid attention to my breakdown video back in August, when I predicted, even before meeting Quincy and getting the chance to talk to him and interview him, I admitted and made the prediction back then that Quincy Olivari had a very good shot at 100% overtaking one of the Lakers' current two-way guys to eventually nab a two-way contract himself. And lo and behold, it ended up happening even earlier than I had anticipated. I thought he would have to show something in the G League at South Bay first, but no. He made use of his limited opportunities in the Summer League and in preseason, showed out in a big way. The last game when the Lakers got blown out by like 60 points, Quincy Olivari was the only player on the court for the Lakers that looked like a real NBA player. He put up 22 points, hit like 5 3-pointers. And yeah, his hard work paid off up until this point. So yeah, and overall, I'm just really happy for Quincy. This couldn't have happened to a more humble, high character guy with a great work ethic and a legitimately tantalizing skill set that he's already tangibly flashed to the world. Now, I had my doubts about the Lakers doing the right thing here, since they've obviously made a number of very questionable decisions and moves over the past couple of years. And it just felt like it would have been hilarious after all of the guards that the Lakers have cycled through in the LeBron and AD era for them to pass on the one guard who has shown legitimate 3 and D upside in Quincy Olivari. So I was almost anticipating that they were going to just pass him up. But What a sigh of relief. The Lakers did the most common sense thing. They did not galaxy brain this, and they signed the kid in Quincy Olivari who deserved it. So kudos and credit to the Lakers for following through on this, and credit to them in the first place for obviously signing Quincy Olivari to an Exhibit 10 deal and bringing him on to their summer league team and training camp. But yeah, I'm overall just super happy for Quincy because this is one of the best feel good stories in the NBA because he's been such an authentic and genuine dude and so respectful of everyone he's ever met. But yeah, outside of that, let's also just make sure to not let his great personality overshadow the fact that Quincy Olivari is just a legitimate NBA player with the two most coveted skill sets that most teams in this league need in defensive hustle and three-point shooting. And Quincy has already displayed those two strengths of his very adamantly every small opportunity that he's gotten with the Lakers. So despite only really playing 1.5 preseason games for the Lakers, Quincy Olivari, this is where Quincy Olivari finished on the team. He finished number one in three-point field goal percentage at 57% from three, tied with LeBron James. He finished number one in field goal percentage amongst all non-bigs, so non-Anthony Davis and non-Jackson Hayes players. He was number one in field goal percentage at 52%. And he was also number two in total three-pointers made with 8, just behind Dalton Knecht. So Quincy Olivari, in every situation that he's been put in very limited opportunities, he has stepped up every single time. The last game of Summer League for the Lakers in Vegas, he dropped 20 points and hit 6 of 11 threes. The last game of preseason, he had 22 points and hit 5 of 9 from three. And yeah, now the Lakers firmly have Quincy Olivari in their development system and program. So yeah, I'll end my thoughts on Quincy here by giving you guys an updated NBA comp for him that I've been thinking about. Um, Initially, I saw Quincy Olivari as more of an on-ball microwave scorer who can also shoot threes as well. So early on, I likened him to a more pure shooting Lou Williams or Bones Highland. But over the course of the preseason, Quincy Olivari has really displayed his defensive grit and hustle. And so I'm starting to kind of liken him more to a player like DeAnthony Melton, who we saw versus the Golden State Warriors. I like using DeAnthony Melton as an aspirational role player and floor comp for Quincy Olivari. I know that sounds insane that I say floor comp, but I do think if everything shakes out right, Quincy Olivari has some upside to him. So for now, I like using DeAnthony Melton as his role player comp because DeAnthony Melton is your prototypical 3-and-D guard who can also handle the ball in a pinch and do some things offensively that are a little bit more versatile than a pure 3-and-D guy. Quincy Olivari is more bulkier than DeAnthony Melton, and he's more of a pure three-point shooter than Melton, which is why I say that I think there's a little bit more upside to mine with Quincy Olivari. But overall, I kind of like the shape and mold of a DeAnthony Melton for Quincy Olivari. Now, with regards to me mentioning the upside that Quincy possesses, I also kind of want to comp him to two previous Lakers that Lakers fans are obviously very familiar with. And I'll point to this guy first. I think that Quincy Olivari can eventually, if everything shakes out right, I think he can be a sort of less explosive Malik Monk, who's also got some of that Davion Mitchell defensive scrappiness to him. Because the way that he can so quickly get off his threes and the way he can kind of get a bit swaggy with the ball and get his own bucket is a bit Malik Monk-like. Now, Malik Monk is obviously way more explosive than Quincy Olivari. He's a little bit taller as well. But Quincy Olivari is better built than Malik Monk. And I think he has more defensive upside than Malik Monk, obviously. But the ways that they get their threes off very quickly, the ways that they can get their own buckets and they have that on-ball creation ability and can also play making a pinch as well, I think it's very Malik Monk-like. Now, the other guy I kind of thought of, the other former Laker guard that I thought of was, and this one's a little bit controversial, but I kind of see Quincy Olivari as a taller, more pure shooting Kendrick Nunn as well. Now, I know Lakers fans feel some sort of way about Nunn since his time with the Lakers was very injury riddled and now he's just out of the league in general. But when he was healthy, Kendrick Nunn was like a rookie of the year runner up for the Miami Heat, who was playing in the NBA Finals and giving them some minutes off the bench. He averaged like 15 points his rookie year and shot 38% his sophomore year. But I liken Quincy Olivari to Kendrick Nunn because they're both sort of strong built guards, strong built small guards who also have a little bit of speed to their game and some real scoring pop as well. Kendrick Nunn could also handle the ball and play make a bit. And so I see those same sort of similar things in Quincy Olivari's game, except of course, Quincy Olivari adds that defensive and rebounding aspect to the ball as well. So yeah, those are my new updated comps for Quincy Olivari. And again, overall, man, am I just glad that he's officially a Los Angeles Laker now and that we can continue to monitor his progress and follow his journey in the NBA because Quincy Olivari has got all of the right qualities and tools to be successful and eventually carve out a real role for himself in this league, whether it's for the Lakers or another team. Regardless, you can't help but root for such a genuine and humble guy like this. So yeah, congrats once again, Quincy. Again, open invite. Me and my fiance are down to treat you out to some of the best Korean barbecue in LA. But yeah, with that said, let's take it to break here. And when I return, I want to talk about him, all caps. No, not that one, not Austin Reeves. I want to talk about new him, Dalton Knecht. And then we'll close things out with a couple of stray thoughts of mine before the start of the season and also talk about opening night versus the Timberwolves. So yeah, I will catch you guys after the break. All right, guys. So quick segue. So I'm sure you guys have all in your everyday life wondered, what's up, dog? But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what's underdog? Well, let me tell you about Underdog, and specifically Underdog Fantasy, because we are now partnering with Underdog to present you guys with a really exciting opportunity just in time for the start of the NBA season. Underdog is the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. Compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more players' stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. It's currently Boost-tober on Underdog, where there's a promo to play nearly every day. From now until October 27th, you can boost your profit on all NBA entries by 20%. That's right, Underdog is literally giving you unlimited profit boosts to make basketball picks. And actually, up until this point, I have been using the Underdog app to bet on football. And on my first try, I won a 4-leg parlay on the Eagles versus Falcons game back in September and won $45 on a $5 entry for hitting on a Jalen Hurts, Jake Elliott, Saquon Barkley, and Bijan Robinson parlay. Beginner's betting luck is real, so make sure to take advantage of that opportunity on NBA opening night with some easy parlays on the Underdog Fantasy app. Some of the plays right now for the Lakers on opening night are D'Lo 15.5 points, easy higher bet. Anthony Davis, 25 points, higher. He cooks Rudy Gobert every time. So what are you guys waiting for? Download the Underdog app today and use code LEGACY to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, use code LEGACY and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Higher or lower, you make the call. So turn every 3-point splash into a win with Underdog. Must be 18 plus years or older, 19 plus in Alabama and New England, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text Next Step to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. All right, with that said, let's get back to our show. All right, so we are back. DK4, Dalton Knecht 4. By now, you know he ended his preseason with quite a bang. 35 points, 10 of 18 from the field, 8 of 14 from 3, 20 straight points at one point in the fourth and overtime. He hit the game-tying three over Bol to send the game into overtime in the first place. Dalton Knecht was hitting clutch bucket after clutch bucket, calling for screens and then shooting over that screen with such confidence. He led the Lakers to a comeback win versus Phoenix in overtime last Thursday. And yeah, what a dominant performance by Dalton Knecht, and one that I feel like really stamped and cemented himself as not only a rotation player for the Lakers, but also as a potential rookie of the year contender as well. Now, look, we obviously shouldn't expect that type of Dalton Knecht on a nightly or even semi-nightly basis on this team to start the regular season out, because at the end of the day, he is just fighting for a spot in the Lakers' 9 to 10 man rotation. But having said that, again, I feel like he's clearly forced his way into a nightly 15 to 20 minutes at least, especially with Jared Vanderbilt on the mend and Christian Wood out. Now, has Dalton Knecht forced his way into a potential starting spot at the 2 or even 3 in the future? I wouldn't go that far just yet, but I will say that his emergence makes it much easier for the Lakers to really think strongly about consolidating some of their pieces and shuffling their deck around a bit. Something that they already should have done and something that I think they are still in the process of doing. But more so now with Dalton Knecht's emergence, we've got to pump up as much development and usage into this guy as we can. So yeah, obviously we will be monitoring Dalton Knecht's deployment very closely throughout this first half of the regular season. Now, what Dalton Knecht's 35 explosion does show us, though, besides him carving a rollout with this team as a 9th or 10th man, I think the other thing his 35-point explosion does show us, though, is a clear snapshot of his ceiling. Because man, does his ceiling look high. The confidence that Dalton Knecht displayed in that preseason game versus the Suns in the clutch, the incredible shot making that he showed down the stretch, the on-ball creation skills into those elite shooter pull-ups that he was making and taking, his confidence and relentlessness getting into his spots. Dalton Knecht gave us a preview of the type of all-star scoring guard that he could eventually become if everything shakes out right for him. And if you watched my YouTube breakdown video of his 35-point explosion, you would know that I now have a very high new ceiling comp for him that I have been very heavily pushing. And that comp is, I think Dalton Knecht can be the next Devin Booker. That's so crazy. Yeah, I know it is. But if you watch the way that both Devin Booker and Dalton Knecht move on the floor and get to their spots, they're both so fluid, so poetic, so undeterred by a hand check or defenders riding their hip. The way that they can just pull up and shoot on a dime at any instance and still maintain this very cool, calm, collected presence about them, even under duress, is very uncanny. So yeah, just watch the way Dalton Knecht was getting to his spots and pulling up from 3 or in the mid-range versus the Phoenix Suns. It is very Devin Booker-esque. So I will leave you guys with that. Think about that for a little. I obviously am not saying that he's 100% going to be Devin Booker. I'm just saying that that is a ceiling comp that you shouldn't rule out for him, especially because Dalton Knecht has shown some stuff on the defensive end as well that's been very tantalizing. Now, I do not think he can be the same sort of crafty, like swaggy on-ball player that Devin Booker is, or even, and most especially, I don't think Dalton Knecht can be the type of playmaker that Devin Booker has become. But with regards to getting buckets and scoring, they both have that pure scorer's mentality. And so, yeah, Dalton Knecht, the next Devin Booker, book it. So I'll end this episode now with some final stray thoughts of mine heading into this season. Let's talk about JHS for a hot second. So Jalen Hood-Schifi, it's just not going to happen. He is not an NBA player, and I am not sure what he actually does well consistently on the floor. He had one solid preseason game in which he had 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, or 4 rebounds and 6 assists. And then ever since then, he has been a black hole of terrible bricked shots and turnovers. Look, I don't want to say anything negatively about JHS as the person. He seems like a perfectly good guy. He seems like a very introverted sort of player and person. Seems like a good kid. But with regards to JHS as the basketball player and with regards to JHS as a basketball player on the Los Angeles Lakers, and given the context that the Lakers are in, quote unquote, trying to win now, JHS to me is just sunk cost at this point. And while I'm not necessarily giving up on the player and calling him a bust and saying that he'll never make it in the NBA, I am giving up on the player as a Laker because he is not going to make it on this team that's already so crowded at the guard position. And on top of that, if we're just keeping it 100, I would literally play Quincy Olivari over JHS in a real NBA game if forced to do so. And I may even go as far as saying I would probably also play Bronny James and Maxwell Lewis over JHS, who both have showed more in, especially Bronny, he showed more in one preseason game than JHS has his first 2 years in the league of actual NBA play. I'm not talking about the G League, okay? Granted, the Bronny James game came in a 60-point blowout loss. That said, JHS was playing in that blowout loss and looked horrific. So yeah, JHS needs to be in a situation where he can have abundant reps and be allowed to fail multiple times over. And the Lakers just do not have the context and situation or the time for that to allow him to do that. And while I don't think JHS has any real actual tradable value, his contract is just he's actually on a very cheap contract. It's only $3.8 million, and it's essentially an expiring contract since he has a team option on it, since the Lakers have a team option on it after this year. So another team with a veteran player, another team who has a veteran player that they're not using because they're a tank team, like the Charlotte Hornets with Nick Richards or the Brooklyn Nets with Day'Ron Sharpe, a team like that might actually be down to take a closer look at JHS and give him a flyer because he's on such a cheap cost-controlled rookie deal at $3.8 million. And if he still sucks with the amount of reps that they give him, they can just let him off their books and clear $3.8 million in salary the next year and not pick up his team option. So, but yeah, with that said, it's just not going to work here for JHS in LA. And from the Lakers end, they just need to stop forcing the issue and trying to make it work with JHS, in my opinion. I don't think they should try and justify the pick because they know it looks so terrible in comparison to Podziemski, Cam Whitmore, Jaime Jaquez, Noah Clowney, Ben Shepherd. I could go on and on. No, the Lakers, we lost already. We just lost. It was a bad pick, period. There's no coming back from this. And it's made all of this, the JHS pick is made even worse because it was a number 17th pick, a bad pick in a very good and deep NBA draft. The 2023 NBA draft was super deep, and it even played out that way with the amount of guys who were able to show something in year one. And we could have probably picked literally anyone else than JHS and been in a better position. But we drafted Jalen Hood-Schifi. So in my opinion, the smartest thing to do now is to cut our losses and move on. Use JHS in a consolidation deal and get someone back who can actually play. But yeah, to me, it's already bad that we didn't trade the number 17th pick in 2023 for an established player like a Royce O'Neal, a Kelly Olynyk, a Gary Trent Jr., a Daniel Gafford. All players, by the way, who were traded for less value than a 2023 number 17th pick. But yeah, not only did we not trade the pick for one of those players who could help us out right now, but on top of it, we drafted the worst possible selection we could pick at that spot, given the amount of talent surrounding him in that draft. So in my opinion, the Lakers should swallow their pride and get off of the JHS business ASAP. He loses more value every time he steps onto the court, and it doesn't help that he also wears number 0. There is something about the Lakers and guards who wear number 0. I can't quite put my finger on it. Okay, that aside, I do want to say I am actually very excited about the Lakers season. I know there are some fans who want to be miserable about all of the non-moves the Lakers made / didn't make this offseason. I am not one of those fans, and I'm choosing to look at this season with a glass half full perspective because there are literal glass half full things to cling on to from what we've seen in training camp. And obviously, I personally am riding a lot of momentum, a lot of positive momentum from the Quincy Olivari signing and Dalton Knecht's 35-point explosion. But with regards to just everything we've seen from JJ Redick in terms of culture setting and tangible basketball comprehension and attention to detail, and just all the ways that the players have bought in, I'm feeling very encouraged and hopeful to begin this season. And LeBron James and Anthony Davis, especially Anthony Davis, seem very amped to get this year going. And I think we've got a lot of good steam behind us, knowing that we have a real rookie of the year candidate in Dalton Knecht on our hands. And shoot, as I mentioned earlier, even Bronny James showed some real nice flashes in his last preseason game, putting up 17 points and a number of defensive stats. So I feel like, whether it's Bronny James, Quincy Olivari, Dalton Knecht, like LeBron James probably is super happy for Bronny James heading into this season, and he wants to start this year off right. So yeah, I'm hopeful that the Lakers can stem the tide early on while they figure out how they want to consolidate this roster and how they want to bolster the margins with regards to still trying to upgrade the big man position, still trying to potentially upgrade the wing position. Both positions they have verbally outright said that they're looking to improve. But in the meantime, while they wait for some of those trades to surface, I am encouraged by what we've seen thus far in terms of like the sets, the playmaking, the defensive intensity, even though maybe the defensive IQ hasn't really been there and the defensive communication hasn't been there yet. I think we are coming along just fine. And as it pertains to the matchup versus the Minnesota Timberwolves tomorrow, I think we'll probably lose. And I say that only because the Lakers haven't actually won a home opener since, 2016. Having said that, I do think we match up pretty well with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they obviously just lost Karl Towns and are now integrating Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. So they have kind of less continuity than the Lakers do, although the Lakers are obviously having to deal with a new head coaching staff. But the Minnesota Timberwolves in general are more of an isolation pick and roll style team that I think the Lakers can handle better with their semi-zone, semi-switch everything defensive scheme. And so far, even in the preseason games where the Lakers haven't looked good defensively, they've at least shown the energy and activity. It hasn't necessarily been funneled in the right directions, but against a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves, where they're just going to hot potato the ball around the perimeter and like it'll stick with certain guys like Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle and even like Rob Dillingham, I feel like the Lakers are better prepped to defend and contain a team like that. It's teams like the Warriors with very nuanced offensive systems that I feel like give the Lakers trouble. But yeah, again, with Minnesota, I think the Lakers can bait Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle into hijacking the offense and taking some bad shots and turning the ball over. So yeah, going off of the Lakers opening night history, it might be a loss. But if there was ever a chance that the Lakers finally break the opening night curse, I think it might be this year with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So with that said, the 2024-25 NBA season is here. Lakers basketball will now be a consistent part of our lives for the next 6 to 8 months. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. It should be lit. Make sure to stay locked in to everything Lakers Legacy related. Please follow us on X at Lakers Legacy Pod. Please also give us a 5-star rating and review on the Apple Podcast app and the Spotify app as well. And most importantly, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It has been gaining a lot of support and traction over the last 2 months. And thank you to those who have supported me so diligently. We are really trying to grow this brand at the moment. And so I would really appreciate you guys' continued support. And yeah, be on the lookout for some upcoming LLP merch too. But yeah, good things are ahead. Lots of good sports. The Dodgers are in the World Series versus the Yankees, so that should be a lot of fun as well. But with regards to the Lakers and the NBA, it all starts tomorrow, baby. The quest for number 18. Till next time, this has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast. And yeah, catch you guys later. Peace.